Everyone wants to talk about burnout. I think burnout is often the final symptom, not the actual problem, because most leaders don't suddenly burn out, they quietly decline. Long before performance suffers, long before revenue drops, long before anyone notices. The problem isn't motivation, discipline, or productivity. The problem is reduced capacity. And today we're going to talk about why. Welcome back to Longevity Unlocked. I'm Sherrie Austin. I help CEOs, executives, and senior leaders protect decision quality by stabilizing the physiological systems that drive performance, judgment, and execution at scale. This month, we're discussing a topic I believe is one of the most understood challenges facing leadership today: why leaders quietly decline. Not dramatically, not publicly, not through some catastrophic failure, quietly. The scary part, most leaders don't recognize it's happening until they're operating at a fraction of their true capacity. Today, we'll discuss why leadership decline often goes unnoticed, 3 reasons capacity erodes beneath performance, 3 case studies, 3 research findings, 3 personal observations from nearly 3 decades as a critical care nurse, and 3 practical strategies you can begin implementing immediately. Let's begin. Let's discuss why leaders mistake performance for capacity. One of the biggest mistakes leaders make is assuming that because they're still performing, they're functioning optimally. Those are not the same thing. You can hit targets, lead meetings, and run a company while operating at reduced capacity. Many leaders do. The problem is they normalize the decline. What once felt effortless now feels exhausting. What once required focus now requires force. What once generated excitement now generates fatigue. Yet, because results continue, the warning signs are ignored. You're probably recognizing yourself. When I began studying this work, I realized I was the leader that was quietly declining. Let's talk about case study number 1. It's about a senior healthcare executive who consistently exceeded organizational goals. Revenue remained strong, turnover remained low, performance reviews were excellent. Yet, she privately described feeling mentally exhausted. I know I've been there. Decision-making taking longer. Her patience was decreasing and strategic thinking felt difficult. After assessing the situation, her issue wasn't competence or leadership ability. It was chronic sleep restriction. She averaged 5 to 6 hours of sleep nightly. After 6 months of intentional recovery and sleep optimization, she reported clarity, focus, and her emotional regulation improved dramatically. The workload hadn't changed, her capacity had. Research study number 1 is from the University of Pennsylvania's Sleep and Neurobehavioral Performance. The studies that demonstrated that individuals restricted to 6 hours of sleep per night for 2 weeks performed cognitively as poorly as those who had remained awake for 24 consecutive hours. The alarming finding? Participants consistently underestimated their impairment. They believed they were functioning normally. In reality, performance had significantly declined. This is exactly what happens to many leaders. The decline becomes invisible. It becomes familiar. As an ICU nurse, I saw this repeatedly. Some of the most competent clinicians were also the most sleep deprived. Initially, they functioned well. Then came subtle changes like shorter patience, reduced emotional bandwidth, and difficulty concentrating. The intelligence was still there. The knowledge was still there. The capacity to access it consistently was diminished. Leadership operates the same way. The second reason leaders quietly decline is not because they're incapable. It's because they're overloaded. Leaders accumulate cognitive debt. Most leaders think about financial debt. Few think about cognitive debt. Every interruption, notification, Crisis meeting, an unresolved stressor creates a withdrawal from mental bandwidth. The brain was never designed to operate under continuous stimulation. Yet many leaders spend entire days switching attention every few minutes. Eventually, capacity becomes fragmented. The result is not necessarily poor performance. The result is poor judgment. Case study number 2 is about a technology executive who believed he had an execution problem. His calendar was packed. His days were productive. Yet he struggled to think strategically. He spent nearly all of his time reacting to problems. After reviewing his schedule, the issue became obvious. He had no uninterrupted thinking time. His brain never had the opportunity to move beyond immediate demands. Once protected thinking blocks were added, strategic clarity improved significantly. Nothing changed except cognitive recovery. Now, I'm just going to put in a brief plug right here because that was happening to me, and that happens to a lot of people because now we have so many things pulling from our attention and we don't institute those times. So for me, what has really calmed my cognitive overload and has really calmed my nervous system is cognitive resets. This has expanded my capacity. I will get up in the morning, and now I've instituted into my guided meditation. So as soon as the sun is up, within that first hour of me waking up, I go outside, and for the first 10 minutes, I set my clock. I don't have any podcasts, music, nothing playing. I just listen to the birds chirping, just feel the sun on my skin. I can smell flowers. I see hawks and woodpeckers and hear the squirrels. And I just walk in quiet, in silence. And just that 10 minutes of silence makes a world of difference. Research study number 2 is from an American Psychological Association study that had repeatedly showed that chronic stress impairs executive functioning, specifically working memory, attention, decision-making, and problem solving. The exact skills leaders depend upon most. The implication is profound. Stress isn't simply uncomfortable. It directly impacts leadership effectiveness. Several years ago, I believed productivity was the answer to everything. If I felt overwhelmed, I just created another system. I was like, my system is wrong. I'll create another checklist or another process. But what I eventually discovered was that I didn't need another productivity strategy. I needed recovery. Once I began protecting my sleep, slowing down, and reducing unnecessary cognitive load, my clarity returned. Not because I became more productive, but because I became more available to my own capacity. If you follow me on Substack, I have been posting notes recently about my own observations when I was quietly declining and how my capacity increased when I began to intentionally incorporate recovery infrastructure into my daily schedule. There's one final reason leaders quietly decline, and it may be the most dangerous of all. Leaders become victims of their own resilience. In this hustle culture and be more resilient and be more strong, that's like a badge of honor. I'm resilient. I can handle it. But it is the one thing that now is making us victims. High performers are incredibly good at pushing through. That's often how they become leaders. That used to be my phrase before I entered my soft girl era. I'm going to thug it through. Anybody that knows me personally, that has been my mantra since I was a little girl. I ain't worrying about it. I'm going to just thug through it. It's good. We thugging through it. But thugging through has just gotten me a dysregulated nervous system. It has gotten me to operate in survival mode for so long that when I finally started operating in quiet capacity and in stewardship, it felt wrong. I expected it to feel like the lottery winners. And it also explains something too. When you have diminished capacity, It doesn't matter how much abundance that you have, you don't have the capacity to handle it, you'll lose it. And that's why they have a statistic that many lottery winners, 88% of them are broke within 5 years. They're actually filing bankruptcy. And the problem is because they got the money, it was loud, it was there, but they didn't have the capacity to hold it. They didn't have the capacity or the mindset to manage that level of wealth all at one time. So thugging through and pushing through and then thinking that it's going to be this automatic burst of recovery, it never works. Leaders often push through exhaustion, stress, uncertainty, and discomfort. Eventually, pushing through becomes a default response to every signal their body sends, and resilience becomes a liability because resilience can mask deterioration. I know this personally, I lived it. Now let's see what case study number 3 says. Case study number 3 is about a senior executive who continued delivering exceptional results despite increasing fatigue. We've all been there. From the outside, nobody noticed a problem. Internally, she described feeling disconnected from work, family, and herself. She wasn't burnt out or depleted. Years of prioritizing output over recovery had slowly eroded her capacity. What she needed wasn't motivation, she needed restoration. Although this was a case study that I looked up, because everything that I come to you with is research backed and lived. That was me. I was like, dang, I'm reading about myself. That was me. Research number 3 was published in Leadership and Occupational Health literature that consistently demonstrates that recovery experiences, including sleep, detachment from work, and restorative activities, predict leadership effectiveness, engagement, and resilience. Recovery is not a luxury. Let me tell you. I used to think recovery was spa days, and those are great, and I love them, and I still do them, but it's not the luxury. Recovery is our daily infrastructure. Without it, performance eventually becomes unstable. One of the greatest lessons I've learned during my transformation journey is that increasing capacity feels surprisingly quiet. I expected growth to feel dramatic. I expected some huge breakthrough. Instead, what I've experienced is steadiness, more patience, clarity, better judgment, less urgency, and greater emotional regulation. The nervous system doesn't announce stability with fireworks or with a linear projection upwards, because I thought that's what it was going to be, up and up and up. And it's more like a roller coaster, up, down, up, down, up, down. And it's actually quite mundane and quite boring, but it's what we need to regulate our nervous systems. It announces it with peace. And I think many leaders miss that because they're expecting the transformation to feel loud. Real capacity growth often feels quiet. I'm going to give you 3 strategies that you can implement today. Strategy number 1, this is the L in my signal framework, and it's the question I ask every leader and senior executive. I even asked myself this. If nothing changes in the next 6 months to a year, what will your leadership look like? And if you're not a leader, just ask yourself, what would your life look like? If you don't change anything in your life today, you keep grinding it out, you keep thugging it out, you don't get any rest, you don't have any cognitive resets, you're just going on a dysregulated nervous system with minimal capacity. What will your life look like? What will your leadership look like? What will your health look like? What will your relationships look like? What will your energy look like? Be brutally honest. I want you to write these questions down. So I'm going to repeat them one more time. If you're a leader, what would your leadership look like? If you're not, what will your life look like? The second question I want you to ask, what will your health look like? What will your health look like? The third question, What will your relationships look like? And the final question, what will your energy look like? The third one was, what will your relationships look like? The fourth one was, what will your energy look like? And I want you to be brutally honest. I want you to use them as journal prompts. And journaling is very cathartic. It allows you to take a moment to pull out things that are going on in your subconscious that you're not consciously aware of, because we don't take that time to just sit down and think. We are so busy being human doings instead of human beings. We don't even take the time to reflect on, where am I? How did I get here? A few months ago, I wrote about this, as far as when we're not taking that time, that's how identity drift sits in. And the person that we thought we were, or the things we thought we were doing to be that person, has drifted off into something else, because we never took the time to stop to ask ourselves, where will we be in a year if we don't institute any changes in our life today? This is a question I asked myself in 2015 when my daughter graduated from Florida A&M University, my alma mater. Woo woo. And of course, it's a momentous occasion. We taking pictures and, celebrating the things. And I saw those pictures, and I promise you, this is where, I don't know if it was body dysmorphia, denial. I don't know what it was, but I promise you, the tags in my clothes said 24, 26. But I don't know why, when I looked in the mirror, I saw size 8. Them pictures told the real truth. I was like, ooh, no, 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 no. I had to start asking myself some real questions. And the answer was, if nothing changed for me, there would be no leadership. My marriage was on the rocks already. So that told the tale about, where's my relationship? I'm not sure where the energy levels came from, but I was so used to operating in survival mode and off of adrenaline that I normalized it. So in my mind, I felt that I had energy, but I was already a self victim to my own resilience. So when I went to go get a workup for weight loss surgery at the sleeve surgery, I found out I had coronary artery disease. Everybody, my cardiologist was surprised, because I was obese, clearly, but my blood pressure was always good. I never had congestive heart failure. I didn't have swelling in my ankles. I wasn't short of breath. I was working 60-hour work weeks, 5 12-hour shifts a week at 342 pounds. So I was active. A matter of fact, I was turned down by the insurance company because I was healthy, obese. But that's another conversation for another day, because those are antonyms, not synonyms. But I was not about to give the insurance company English lesson. So I said, okay. So I found out I had coronary artery disease, and that's plaquing in the vessels of the heart. So my right coronary artery, which is a major vessel in the back of my heart, was 50% occluded. That's when I really had to ask myself the ill question, the longevity question, because I knew that if I did not change anything in 6 months to a year, that my health would be progressively declining, and I will be on the verge of a heart attack and or stroke, maybe both, at 42 years old. Let me tell you something. Current habits create future outcomes. Strategy number 2, protect one recovery block daily. Schedule 20 minutes of recovery. No emails, meetings, notification, or productivity measures. Recovery is not avoidance. Recovery is maintenance. Like I said, my life changed when I started instituting cognitive resets. The first thing I get up in the morning and do is I pray, I meditate, I will do my guided meditation. Well, I do my cognitive reset walk first for 10 minutes. Then, as I'm heading back, I would have a walking guided meditation. Then I would come back and I would journal. And that's my sacred 1.5 hour morning routine. And I know it sounds like a hack, and I guess it is, but it's my self optimization and it's part of my recovery infrastructure. Strategy number 3 is track capacity instead of output. Every morning, ask yourself, how is my energy? Before I even look at my sleep data, and I still look at that. I have my wearables, I track my data, I still look at my sleep, but I compare the score to what I feel in my physical body because your body will always tell the tale. So, how's my energy? How's my focus? I don't care if my sleep score is at 80 and it says that I slept 7 hours, but my body feels like crap. That's not good. That tells me that I need to recover more this day. Maybe I need a longer cognitive reset. I need a couple throughout the day. How is my patience? And this is why I journal in the morning. And this is why I have quiet time in the morning. Because if I let in all the emails and everybody else's wants and needs and priority list, I'm fractured halfway through the day. I have no patience. How's my clarity? That's what keeps you clear. How was my recovery? So I'm going to go over that again because those are 5 metrics I want you to ask yourself every morning. How is my energy? With 5 being great and 1 being almost non-existent. How is my focus? Am I waking up clear, or am I waking up already thinking of yesterday's problems and what today's going to bring with it? How's my patience? Can I delay coffee for 60 to 90 minutes, or am I barking at my significant other, or I'm rolling into work and don't talk to me until I get coffee? I used to work with nurses like that. It's either don't talk to me because I didn't get my coffee in yet, or don't talk to me before 10 o'clock. They're already starting the day with 0 patience. That tells you about the recovery system. How's my clarity? Do you arrive into work and you don't even know the date? And that has happened to me before too. When we go in to assess patients, we assess what we call their mental status. So one of the questions we ask them is what's their name and their date. And working night shift, that will get confusing very easily because it turns into another day in the middle of your shift. And I had the patient tell me what the date was, and he was correct. I had to look at my watch to verify that he was telling the truth. I said, wow, I'm clearly not clear. I'm mentally altered because I don't even know the date and he knows the date. That's crazy. But when your sleep is disjointed and you're operating in survival mode, you're not clear. So when you wake up, how is your clarity? Do you even know who you are, where you are? Do you know the date? Do you know your name and date of birth? If you don't, or you have to struggle to think about it, what today is, what's the date, you're not that clear. I need you to go back to sleep and take another nap and try again. How is my recovery? Do you have systems in place that helps you stay recovered? Like I said, cognitive resets, journaling, prayer, meditation. Do you take time throughout the day to reset your nervous system? I'll do box breathing or breath work. Did you get a good night's sleep? Did you get quality sleep? Did you turn off electronics 60 to 90 minutes? I hear a lot of people say, I can't go to sleep unless the TV's on. Let's try something different. We have to teach our body, let's close the curtains down. Let's have ambient lighting. I have Blu-ray blockers that I put on my glasses. I wear contacts normally, but at night I take them out and I put on my glasses, and I have Blu-ray blockers on my glasses because by the end of the day, I'm just lazy. I don't want to write in my journal, even though there's a lot of neuroscience about how important it is to write with the actual pen or pencil. And that's another conversation for another video. But I'm lazy. I like to voice note into my electronic journal, and I'm getting blue light from the phone. So I put on my blue light blockers. Or you can put some red light bulbs, or they have these amber light bulbs that you could put into your lamps that will block out the light and let your body knows that, you know, it's time to calm down. It's time to go to sleep. It's time to get your circadian rhythm online. So those are the 5 metrics that often predict leadership effectiveness better than a task list. So here's a hint. You consistently need 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep to see improvement in your energy, focus, patience, and clarity. If your sleep is poor, then your recovery is poor. Now, if you follow me on Substack, and I'm on Substack under Executive Longevity, I post reflection notes on sleep recovery, sleep quality, and biphasic or segmented sleep, and how that can increase restoration and boost productivity. If today's episode challenged the way you think about leadership performance, then it accomplished exactly what I hoped, because leadership decline is rarely a motivation problem, discipline problem, or productivity problem. More often, it's a capacity problem. Leaders don't decline overnight. They decline quietly, one compromised recovery decision at a time, one ignored signal at a time, one depleted day at a time. But leadership longevity is built the same way: quietly, intentionally, one recovery decision at a time, one boundary at a time, one capacity building habit at a time. For more conversations around executive longevity, decision quality, and leadership sustainability, follow me at Executive Longevity on LinkedIn and Substack. On Substack, I drop articles every Tuesday and Sunday. Follow me at Ask Nurse Sherrie on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. If you like this episode, do not forget to subscribe and share it with a friend. Episodes drop every Sunday. Until next time, remember, your greatest leadership asset isn't your calendar, it's your capacity. Protect it accordingly.